Okay, so I just finished watching Spiral and I feel a lot of different conflicting emotions, I guess, on some aspects. It was really fun to see this series extended. To be transparent, I didn't watch all the Saw movies. I probably saw the first 3 or 4. I felt a little bit burnt out. What I've always been more fascinated in the Saw lock my door in the Saw series is the social aspects of it. It's almost really like a soap opera in that way, in that you're like, oh, but this person, like the drama of like, this person is this person's brother, and the reveals and the social connections are what's more interesting to me. Without giving away any spoilers, how do I articulate all these thoughts? Well, to start off with what the series is known for, I thought that they did a good job with the creativity of the games or the traps. My one issue that I always have with the variety of them is that clearly some traps are always way easier than others. Like going back to the first film, if you look at Amanda's trap, she didn't have to suffer any personal physical pain. She had to cut into someone else and get a key. And so I think that already, not that that's not difficult emotionally and all the other aspects of that, but like the personal pain of pushing those limits it's a completely different dilemma, right? But on a different aspect too, there's a trap in this one that I'm like, I could do that, no problem. And then there's other ones like, oh, you're screwed, buddy. But the thing that does attract me, the social elements within the movie, I wasn't shocked at all. I actually guessed it all. And not that I'm saying, I don't think that everyone will, but knowing that there's always hidden elements within these films, they tend to do the flashback at the end of the film, right? Like, remember this scene and this scene and this scene? Well, in the background there was this and all these signs, right? Pointing to who either killer is, pointing to what the answer to the trap is that they missed, something like that. They give those clues all the time, right? So watching this film, I'm on high alert and I'm thinking, is this a red herring? Is this a clue? What is it? And I just thought, yep, that made sense. I didn't feel surprised. But did that ruin the movie for me? No, it felt just like fun. This is honestly my first time going back to the movies since April of 2020. So I just felt like so happy and kind of emotional to be here. So I'm just happy right now. The acting in this movie fell pretty on par with the rest of the Saw movies, in that the acting, not the best thing ever. I like Chris Rock. I think the best dialogue in the whole movie is in the opening scene where it has that, I mean, it's not Tarantino-esque, but it's like these people are in a situation and then they're just talking about random stuff that's interesting. They're talking about Forrest Gump. It's not a spoiler or anything important. I just felt like Chris Rock being Chris Rock, like riffing off of something. But then when it came down to the moments that were more serious and emotionally depth, I thought that it just kind of missed the mark, you know? It just felt like, it kind of just feels like this movie is going through a haunted house. There's the jump scares, and then you're walking, and then, you know, you see, I don't know, it just kind of, yeah, that's just the quality of experiencing Saw that reminds me of. It's just like going through a haunted house. It's not too serious. You kind of know what's coming when you go into a haunted house, that you're going to get scared. There's certain expectations in line, and then it's over, and that's it. I don't know. That makes it sound like I didn't like it or something. I guess my takeaway from this is, if you enjoy the Saw series and you don't take them too seriously and you don't linger on plot holes, then it's a fun movie and I recommend it. Good traps, okay acting, fun celebrity, like Samuel L. Jackson's good in it. Yeah, there's nothing that's quite like a standout in this movie but it's just a fun ride. I will say that this isn't a spoiler either. If you watch the trailer, it says this, the film does center around the killings of cops. It's targeting cops within these traps. So this film finished filming in 2019. So that's really interesting to me how topical it is now. You know, you just growing up, you see movies about corrupt cops or like mafia involvement, or yeah, just, I mean, like even looking at movies like The Departed, for example, and Matt Dillon's character, that representation of bad cops in media has been there. But I think what's so important about this movie, as like okay as it is that there's black representation in this movie that's centered around system that is very corrupt within the film. Not a new concept. I think that is something that people within the black community are constantly aware of, is like police brutality obviously is very prominent and a fear and just a reality within the lives of people of color. And because I am in a privileged position of just being a white person, that isn't something hasn't been on my radar most of my life, you know? So I've been very privileged in that way, but I'm rambling. But with this film being shot in 2019 and then George Floyd happening in 2020, this movie coming out in 2021 being delayed because of COVID, it's really interesting how certain messages in the film feel just very or more poignant and topical, and I think leave a different mark and feeling watching it than it was intended to. Yeah, I don't know, it's hard to articulate without spoiling too much stuff, but I guess I'll just say this, when it reminds me, I'm not saying this is what happens in the movie or anything, but it reminds me of the parallels in Night of the Living Dead, the George Romero film, how the casting of a black man as the lead ends up getting shot by policemen and a bunch of like hillbilly type of people at the end of the film because they mistake him for a zombie. Spoiler, that is a spoiler. And in the script, it wasn't supposed to be necessarily a black person, but with the casting, it was, because he was the best. He just simply acted the best, and they cast him in that role, and it completely changes the narrative of that ending, of what you're left thinking, of the parallels it drives with society, and it just completely changes how you process the ending of that movie. Now with this movie, the general topic being it about targeting cops, themes of police brutality and corruption, it's worth thinking about, which is interesting. It's just a coincidence that all that happened after they filmed it. A lot to digest there. But aside from that, I don't know that they will make another one. They might squeeze something out. For the fun of the series, that would be fun if they did. Doesn't feel like it needs to happen, but they probably will. I've heard it's doing great at the box office, especially compared to, I don't even remember the name of the movie, the Angelina Jolie action film, and this movie's doing great, which makes me happy just for horror films. And so that's it. If you are in a position where you can go to the movies and support your local theaters and go just enjoy movies on a big screen, please do. This is a good one, and it's just a fun time. Okay, thanks, bye.